Reagan Ashford sat in her wheelchair outside the luxury car dealership, watching her brand-new Mercedes get towed away. The mechanic with grease-stained hands had just told her mother that someone had deliberately cut her brake lines. But it was what he did next that changed everything. Eric Carter didn't see a helpless, disabled girl. He saw danger, and he was about to prove that sometimes the person trying to kill you is closer than you think. If you want to know how a single dad mechanic saved a billionaire's daughter and caught a killer, hit that subscribe button. This story will make you believe in guardian angels. Reagan Ashford was 26 years old, paralyzed from the waist down, and the sole heir to a $3 billion pharmaceutical empire. She'd been in a wheelchair for 4 years, ever since the riding accident that shattered her T10 vertebra and ended her Olympic equestrian dreams. The accident happened during the qualifying trials for the Tokyo Olympics. Reagan was 22, ranked 3rd in the world for show jumping, and riding her prize mare Duchess on a course she'd run 100 times. The jump was routine, 12 feet, clean approach, perfect form. Then Duchess stumbled mid-jump, twisted, threw Reagan sideways into the fence post at full speed. The impact crushed Reagan's spine. Duchess had to be put down. Reagan woke up in the hospital 3 days later, unable to feel her legs. The veterinary investigation showed Duchess had been drugged. Someone had injected her with a sedative 30 minutes before the competition, enough to affect her coordination, but not enough to be obvious. The case went nowhere. No suspects, no evidence, no justice. Reagan spent 6 months in rehabilitation, learning to live in a wheelchair, learning that her Olympic dreams were over, learning that someone had deliberately ended her career and nearly killed her, and she had no idea who or why. The rehab facility was sterile, clinical, full of other people learning to live with catastrophic injuries. Reagan's physical therapist, Marcus Chen, was brutally honest from day one. You can grieve what you lost, or you can build what's next. Both are valid, but only one moves you forward. Reagan grieved. She screamed. She cried. She threw things during therapy sessions when her arms couldn't do what her brain commanded. She watched other patients in wheelchairs navigate obstacles and felt rage that this was her life now. She'd been an Olympic-level athlete. Now she couldn't transfer from her wheelchair to a bed without assistance. The hardest part wasn't the physical limitations. It was the loss of identity. Reagan had been a rider since she was 6 years old, competed since she was 10, made the national team at 18. Her entire life had been built around horses and competition and the dream of Olympic gold. Now Duchess was dead, and Reagan was paralyzed, and all those dreams were ashes. Her mother visited every day. Victoria would sit beside Reagan's wheelchair and talk about the company, about business decisions, about pharmaceutical developments, never about the accident, never about Duchess. Never about the fact that someone had deliberately drugged Reagan's horse and nearly killed her. "Mom, aren't you angry?" Reagan asked one day. "Someone tried to murder me. They killed Duchess. They destroyed my career. And you're talking about quarterly earnings." Victoria's expression hardened. "Of course I'm angry. I'm furious. But anger doesn't change what happened. What changes things is action. I've hired investigators. I've increased security. I'm protecting you the only way I know how, by controlling what I can control." Reagan understood. Victoria had lost her husband to a sudden heart attack, had nearly lost her daughter to sabotage. Control was how she survived fear, but that control was suffocating Reagan. The investigators found nothing, no evidence pointing to any specific person. The sedative used on Duchess was common, available at any veterinary clinic. The syringe had no fingerprints. The security footage from the stables showed nothing unusual. Whoever did it was professional, careful, and they'd gotten away clean. 6 months after the accident, Reagan was released from rehab, returned to the Ashford estate in a custom wheelchair with hand controls for driving. Her mother had renovated the house, installed ramps, widened doorways, put an elevator in for Reagan to access the second floor. The mansion that had been Reagan's childhood home now felt like an accessible prison. Her mother, Victoria Ashford, CEO of Ashford Pharmaceuticals, hired private security, monitored Reagan's activities, became overprotective to the point of suffocation. Reagan went from independent athlete to watched prisoner in her own life. Guards followed her everywhere. Cameras watched every room. Her phone was monitored. Her emails were screened. Her mother insisted it was for Reagan's protection. Reagan felt like she couldn't breathe. She tried to date. Met a man at a charity event who seemed interested. They went on 3 dates, all with security guards stationed nearby. He stopped calling after that. Said it was too weird being watched constantly. Reagan didn't blame him. She tried to go back to school, enrolled in online business classes, thought maybe she could work at Ashford Pharmaceuticals eventually. But every time she tried to focus on coursework, she'd think about Duchess, about the person who'd injected her horse with sedatives, about the fact that someone wanted her dead or destroyed, and she had no idea why. Depression settled in, heavy and suffocating. Reagan would sit in her room for hours, staring at photos of her competing, of Duchess mid-jump, of the life she'd lost. Her therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Sarah Kim, told Reagan she was grieving. That paralysis was a type of death, the death of who you used to be, and grief required time. "How much time?" Reagan asked. "It's been 2 years. I'm still angry, still sad, still feel like I'm living in someone else's life." Grief doesn't have a timeline, neither does healing. You're rebuilding your identity from scratch. That takes however long it takes. But you need to actually rebuild, not just sit in the ruins. Reagan knew Dr. Kim was right, but knowing and doing were different things. The company had been Reagan's father's before he died of a heart attack when Reagan was 18. Victoria took over, grew the company's value by 400% in 8 years, became one of the most powerful women in pharmaceuticals, made enemies, lots of enemies. Reagan always assumed the attack on Duchess was connected to her mother's business, a warning, a message, an attempt to hurt Victoria through her daughter. The police investigated that angle, found nothing concrete. The case went cold. 4 years later, Reagan was still in a wheelchair, still watched by security, still living in her mother's mansion under constant surveillance. She'd given up competing, given up riding, given up most of her independence. Depression had settled in like fog. Her mother insisted on the security, insisted Reagan couldn't be trusted to go anywhere alone, insisted that whoever drugged Duchess might try again. Reagan felt like she was living in a prison built by her mother's fear. The only freedom she had was her car, a custom Mercedes adapted for hand controls. Her one escape from the mansion and the security team and her mother's controlling anxiety. When Reagan drove, she felt almost normal, almost free, almost like the person she used to be, until the brakes failed. Reagan had been driving home from a rare, unsupervised lunch with friends, took the highway, was going 65 when she pressed the brake pedal and nothing happened. The car kept accelerating. Reagan pumped the brakes. Nothing. She pulled the emergency brake. Nothing. Panic set in. She was heading toward a red light with traffic stopped ahead. No brakes. No way to stop. She swerved onto the shoulder, scraped against the guardrail, slowed down slightly, aimed for the grassy median. The car jumped the curb, rolled. Reagan's wheelchair in the back seat broke free and slammed into her headrest. The airbags deployed. The car stopped upside down in the grass. Reagan hung in her seatbelt, disoriented and terrified. People ran over, called 911, helped her out of the car. She wasn't injured beyond bruises. The wheelchair protected her from worse. The car was towed to Carter's Auto Repair, the closest mechanic shop. Reagan's security team arrived within minutes. Her mother arrived 10 minutes later in a fury of protective panic. "Are you hurt? Did you hit your head? Why were you driving alone? Where was your security detail?" "Mum, I'm fine. The car malfunctioned. It's not a big deal." "Not a big deal? You could have died. This is exactly why I don't want you driving alone." Reagan wanted to scream, wanted to point out that she was 26 years old and capable of having lunch with friends without armed guards. But she'd had this argument 1,000 times. It never changed anything. The mechanic came out of the garage wiping his hands on a rag. He was 30 years old, tall, built like someone who worked with his hands, grease stains on his shirt, kind eyes. A small child, maybe 5 years old, followed him holding a toy car. "Ms. Ashford, I'm Eric Carter. I own this shop. I've looked at your car." "And?" Eric glanced at the child. "Lily, go play in the office for a minute, okay?" The little girl nodded and skipped away. Eric's expression turned serious. "Your brake lines were cut, deliberately. Someone tried to kill you." The words hit like a punch. Victoria went pale. Reagan felt her heart drop. "What do you mean, cut?" "I mean, someone crawled under your car with a knife or wire cutters and severed your brake lines. They did it carefully, not all the way through, just enough that the fluid would leak out slowly. You probably didn't notice anything wrong until you were driving at speed. Then the brakes failed all at once." "Are you sure?" Victoria demanded. "Positive. I've been a mechanic for 15 years. I know the difference between wear and deliberate sabotage. Someone wanted this to look like an accident, but it wasn't. This was attempted murder." Reagan couldn't breathe. Someone had tried to kill her. Again. 4 years after Duchess, someone was still trying. Victoria immediately called the police, called Reagan's security team, started making calls to private investigators. Eric stood there watching Reagan with an expression she couldn't quite read. Concern, calculation, like he was trying to figure something out. "When was the last time you drove this car?" he asked Reagan. "This morning. I drove to lunch with friends, parked in a public garage downtown for 2 hours, then drove home." "Anyone have access to your car?" "Just me. It's custom. Hand controls for someone who can't use pedals. I'm the only one who drives it." "Where do you usually park it?" "At my mother's estate, in the garage. We have security, cameras." Eric frowned. "If someone cut your brake lines this morning while you were at lunch, they had to know where you'd be, had to know you'd be alone, had to have time to get under the car without being seen in a public garage." He was right. Reagan felt sick. "So whoever did this knows my schedule, knows my habits, was watching me, or was told where you'd be by someone who knows you." The implication hung in the air. Victoria overheard and snapped. "Are you suggesting someone close to Reagan is involved?" "I'm suggesting that cutting brake lines in a public garage in broad daylight requires either incredible luck or inside information. Someone knew she'd be there, knew she'd be alone, knew which car was hers. The police arrived, took statements, examined the car, confirmed Eric's assessment. The brake lines had been deliberately severed. This was attempted murder. They'd investigate. Check security cameras from the parking garage. Look for suspects." Reagan sat in her wheelchair feeling numb. Someone wanted her dead. Had wanted her dead for 4 years. And they'd tried again. Victoria was spiraling into protective mode. "You're not leaving the house. I'm doubling security. No more going anywhere alone. No more unsupervised trips. This ends now." "Mom, I can't live like a prisoner." "You can't live at all if someone kills you." Victoria's voice cracked. "I already lost your father. I'm not losing you too." Reagan understood her mother's fear. but she also understood that living in constant fear wasn't living at all. Eric appeared beside Reagan's wheelchair, knelt down so he was at her eye level, not condescending, just respectful. "Ms. Ashford, I have a daughter. She's 5. If someone was trying to hurt her, I'd move heaven and earth to keep her safe. Your mother's scared. Give her some grace." Reagan looked at him. This mechanic with kind eyes who'd just delivered the worst news of her life. Something in his direct gaze steadied her. He wasn't treating her like she was fragile, wasn't pitying her, just speaking human to human. "You have a daughter?" "Lily. She's in my office playing right now. I'm a single dad. Been raising her alone since her mother left when she was 2. Walked out one morning and never came back. Left a note saying she couldn't handle being a mother. So I get what it's like to be terrified for your kid's safety. I get what it's like to feel like the world is dangerous and you're the only thing standing between the people you love and disaster." Something about his honesty made Reagan's walls crack slightly. He understood, not the specifics of her situation, but the feeling of being under attack, of feeling hunted, of being afraid. "Thank you for checking the car thoroughly, for finding the cut lines. If you hadn't noticed, the police might have ruled it an accident." "I notice things. It's my job. I've been working on cars since I was 14. Learned from my dad. Did 8 years in the Marines as a mechanic. Worked on everything from Humvees to helicopters. When I look at a vehicle, I see every system, every connection, every potential failure point. Your brake lines weren't a failure. They were sabotage, and I couldn't let that get missed." He handed her a business card. Calloused hands. Working hands. Honest hands. "If you need anything else looked at, cars, security systems, anything mechanical, call me. I'll make sure it's safe." Reagan took the card, looked at this grease-stained mechanic offering help to a billionaire's daughter. There was no angle, no hidden motive, just genuine concern from someone who understood what it meant to protect people you cared about. "Why would you do that? You don't know me. This isn't your problem." "Because nobody deserves to be hunted, and because I know what it's like to fight to protect someone you love. My daughter's the most important thing in my life. If someone was trying to hurt her, I'd want people helping, not because they had to, but because it was the right thing to do. Someone's trying to hurt you. That makes helping you the right thing to do." Reagan felt something shift in her chest. Gratitude, recognition, the beginning of trust. "Thank you, Eric. Just doing what's right. Call me if you need anything. I mean it." Victoria collected Reagan and swept her into the waiting car with her security team. The ride home was tense. Victoria on the phone with lawyers and investigators. Reagan staring out the window thinking about brake lines and drugged horses and someone who'd been trying to kill her for 4 years. Back at the Ashford estate, Victoria immediately implemented new security protocols. Reagan's movements were restricted. Her room was on the 2nd floor, accessible only by elevator. Guards stationed outside, cameras everywhere. Reagan felt suffocated. She understood the necessity, but hated the cage. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello, Miss Ashford. It's Eric Carter, the mechanic. I hope you don't mind. I got your number from the registration on your car." "That's fine. Is something wrong?" "Maybe. I've been thinking about your brake lines, about the precision of the cut, about the timing. I've seen a lot of sabotage in my time as a mechanic. This wasn't random. This was professional." Professional? Someone who knows cars, knows mechanics, knew exactly where to cut to make it look like a slow leak instead of obvious sabotage. That takes knowledge. Reagan's pulse quickened. "Are you saying it might have been another mechanic?" "I'm saying it was someone with mechanical knowledge. That could be a mechanic, could be a car enthusiast, could be someone who studied how to do this." He paused. "Ms. Ashford, Do you have enemies? Someone who'd want you dead? My mother has enemies, business rivals, people who want her company. I've always assumed the attack on my horse 4 years ago was connected to her. But I don't personally have enemies. I'm just the daughter. Just the daughter who inherits a $3 billion company if something happens to your mother. The implication made Reagan's blood run cold. You think this is about inheritance? I think someone benefits from you being dead. And I think whoever it is has been trying for 4 years. That's dedication. That's personal. That's someone close enough to know your schedule, your habits, your vulnerabilities. So what do I do? Trust no one. Question everything and watch your back. Because whoever this is, they're patient. And they're not going to stop until you're dead. The call ended. Reagan sat in her room staring at her phone. Trust no one. That was easy to say. Harder to do when you lived in a house full of staff and security, and a mother who controlled every aspect of your life. Reagan's phone buzzed again. Her mother's assistant, Bernard, requesting she come to dinner. Required attendance. Victoria wanted to discuss the security situation. Dinner was tense. Victoria, Reagan and Victoria's head of security, Marcus Webb. Marcus was 45, former military, and had been with the family for 6 years. He'd been Reagan's personal security detail since the riding accident. We've reviewed the parking garage footage, Marcus said. The cameras in your section were disabled. Someone cut the power to that specific zone 30 minutes before you arrived. They knew exactly where you'd park. Inside information, Reagan said quietly. Or very good surveillance. We're checking to see if anyone was following you that day. Victoria set down her fork. I want Reagan to have 24-hour protection. No exceptions. She doesn't go anywhere alone. Ever. Mom, no arguments. Someone is trying to kill you. I won't lose you. Reagan looked at her mother, saw the fear, the desperation, the love buried under layers of control. Okay, but I need some freedom. I can't live locked in my room. You can have freedom when whoever is trying to kill you is caught. Marcus cleared his throat. Mrs. Ashford, with respect, keeping Reagan isolated might make her safer in the short term. But if this person is patient, and they've proven they are, they'll just wait. We need to be proactive. Draw them out. Absolutely not. I'm not using my daughter as bait. I'm not suggesting bait. I'm suggesting we make Reagan's life appear normal. See who takes the opportunity to strike. We'll be ready this time. Reagan listened to them discuss her life like she wasn't in the room. Felt the familiar frustration of being managed instead of consulted. I have an idea. They both looked at her. The mechanic, Eric Carter. He noticed the brake lines were cut. He called me with insights about the sabotage. He has mechanical knowledge. What if I hired him as a consultant, to check my equipment, to look for other potential sabotage? He'd be an outside perspective. Someone not connected to the family or the company. Victoria frowned. A mechanic? Why would we need a mechanic when we have professional security? Because professional security didn't notice my brake lines were cut. This mechanic did. He has expertise your team doesn't have, and he's a single dad with a daughter. He's not a threat. Marcus considered it. It's not a bad idea. Having someone with mechanical expertise review the vehicles and equipment could catch things we'd miss. I'll have him vetted. Reagan pulled out Eric's business card. Here's his information. Over the next week, Marcus's team vetted Eric Carter thoroughly. Clean record. Honorably discharged from the Marines. Opened his auto repair shop 8 years ago. Single father raising daughter Lily alone. No criminal history. No connections to Ashford Pharmaceuticals or Victoria's business rivals. Marcus approved. Victoria reluctantly agreed. Eric was hired as a consultant to review all of the Ashford family's vehicles and mechanical systems for potential sabotage. Eric arrived at the estate the following Monday with a toolbox and Lily in tow. School was out for summer and he didn't have childcare. Reagan watched from her wheelchair as he examined every car in the garage with meticulous precision. Lily wandered over to Reagan's wheelchair. "Hi, I'm Lily. You're in a wheelchair like my friend Jake's mom." Reagan smiled. Children's honesty was refreshing. "I am. I'm Reagan. Your dad is helping make sure my cars are safe. Daddy fixes everything. He fixed my bike and my dollhouse and the sink when it broke. He says fixing things is like solving puzzles." "That sounds like a good skill." Eric finished examining a car and walked over. "Lily, don't bother Miss Ashford." "She's not bothering me. We're having a conversation." Eric smiled. Genuine warmth. "Find anything interesting, Lily?" "She has a wheelchair, and she lives in a really big house. Can we live in a big house, Daddy?" "Someday, kiddo. For now, we have our apartment and that's enough." He looked at Reagan. "I've checked 4 vehicles so far. All clean. No signs of tampering. Your security team has good protocols for the garage. Cameras. Restricted access. Whoever cut your brake lines didn't do it here." "That's good to know. But it means they're accessing your vehicles when you're away from the estate, which means they're following you, watching your patterns. That's concerning." Reagan felt the familiar chill. "So I'm being stalked? Or someone close to you is providing information to whoever is doing this? Have you thought about who might benefit from your death?" "My mother would inherit my share of the company, but she already runs it. She doesn't need me dead to control Ashford Pharmaceuticals." "Anyone else in line to inherit?" "My mother's sister, my Aunt Catherine, but she's never shown interest in the company. She lives in Europe. We barely talk." "Business partners? Rivals?" "Dozens. But why target me instead of my mother?" Eric crouched down to her eye level. "Respectful, not patronizing. Because killing a CEO creates investigations, scrutiny, chaos. Killing the heir creates sympathy, distraction, and opportunity. While everyone's focused on grief, someone could make moves on the company." Reagan hadn't thought of it that way. "So I'm collateral damage in a business play?" "Maybe. Or maybe it's personal. Someone who hates your mother enough to destroy what she loves most. You." The thought made Reagan sick. She'd spent 4 years assuming the attack on Duchess was random corporate intimidation. What if it was targeted specifically at her? What if someone hated her mother enough to murder her daughter? Eric stood up. "I'll finish checking the vehicles. Then I'd like to look at the elevator you use to access your room. Make sure nobody's tampered with the safety systems." "You think someone would sabotage the elevator?" "I think someone's tried to kill you twice. I'm not ruling anything out." Over the following weeks, Eric became a fixture at the estate. He checked every mechanical system, every vehicle, every piece of equipment Reagan used. His thoroughness was impressive. His presence was oddly comforting. Reagan would watch him work from a distance, the way he methodically examined every component, the care he took with each inspection, the notes he made in a worn notebook. He treated her safety like it mattered, like she mattered. Not because she was a billionaire heiress, but because she was a person worth protecting. Lily would play in the garden while Eric worked. Reagan started spending time with her, reading books, playing simple games, enjoying the uncomplicated honesty of a 5-year-old who didn't treat her disability like tragedy. At first, Reagan didn't know how to talk to children. She'd spent her life around horses and athletes and corporate functions. 5-year-olds were a mystery. But Lily made it easy. She'd run over with a book and climb right into Reagan's lap without hesitation. No fear of the wheelchair, no awkwardness, just a kid who wanted someone to read to her. "This is my favorite," Lily said, handing Reagan a worn copy of The Velveteen Rabbit. It's about a toy that becomes real because someone loves it. Reagan read the story, about the rabbit who wanted to be real, about the magic that happens when you're truly loved, about becoming worn and shabby through being loved, but becoming real in the process. She cried at the ending. Lily noticed. "Why are you sad? It's a happy ending. The rabbit becomes real." "I'm not sad. I'm happy. Sometimes people cry when they're happy." "Grown-ups are weird." Reagan laughed. "Yes, we are." "Why can't you walk?" Lily asked one afternoon. The question was direct, curious, not pitying. "I was in an accident. It hurt my back. Now my legs don't work." "Does it hurt?" "Sometimes, but mostly I'm used to it. Like how you get used to wearing glasses if you need them. It's just part of my life now. My daddy says when things break, you fix them. Can doctors fix your back?" "Not this kind of break. My spine was injured in a way that can't be repaired. Some things can't be fixed. You just learn to live with them differently." Lily considered this seriously. "Daddy says being different isn't bad. It's just different. Like how I'm left-handed and everyone else in my class is right-handed. Different, but not broken." Reagan felt tears prick her eyes. This child understood what so many adults didn't. Disability wasn't brokenness. It was just a different way of being. "Your daddy sounds very wise." "He is. He knows everything, except how to braid hair. He's terrible at braids. He tries really hard, but they always come out lumpy." Reagan laughed. Actually laughed, for the first time in weeks. The sound felt foreign, rusty, but good. "I could teach him if you want. I used to braid my horse's mane all the time." "Really? You had a horse?" "I did. Her name was Duchess. She was beautiful. A chestnut mare with a white star on her forehead." "Where is she now?" Reagan's smile faded. "She died. In the same accident where I got hurt." "I'm sorry. Losing things you love is sad. I had a goldfish named Sparkle and she died and I was sad for a long time. But Daddy said it's okay to be sad when you lose something you love. He said Sparkle wouldn't want me to be sad forever though. She'd want me to remember the happy times." Out of the mouths of children. "Your daddy is right. Duchess would want me to remember the happy times too." "Did you have happy times with her?" "So many. We jumped together, competed together. I loved riding her, feeling like we were flying." "That sounds magical." It was. Lily hugged Reagan spontaneously, small arms around her neck, pure compassion from someone too young to hide their feelings behind social niceties. Reagan hugged her back and cried quietly, mourning Duchess properly for the first time in 4 years. Eric found them like that. Lily hugging Reagan, Reagan crying. He didn't interrupt, just stood at a respectful distance until Lily let go. "Are you okay?" he asked Reagan quietly. "Yeah. Just remembering things I lost." Lily helped. She's good at that. She has this way of making people feel safe enough to feel their feelings. I don't know where she learned it. Wasn't from me. It was definitely from you. She's wise because you taught her to be kind. That evening, Reagan taught Eric how to braid Lily's hair. His large, grease-stained hands were surprisingly gentle, patient. He practiced on Reagan's hair first, carefully following her instructions. His fingers in her hair felt intimate, personal. Reagan felt something flutter in her chest that wasn't fear. He finally got it right on the 4th try. Lily beamed with her perfectly braided hair, ran to show the security guards her princess hair. "Thank you," Eric said quietly. "She's been asking for braids for months. I've been watching YouTube videos, but I can't get it right. Too clumsy." "You're not clumsy. You're gentle. There's a difference. You were afraid of hurting her. That's what made it hard." "I'm always afraid of hurting her. She's the most important thing in my life. I'd rather fail at braids than pull her hair and cause pain. Reagan understood that. Single parenting is hard. Is that experience talking? Observation. My mother raised me alone after my father died. She struggled to be both parents, to be everything I needed. I see her trying so hard and failing sometimes because she's so scared of losing me that she can't see she's suffocating me. It's not easy, being everything for someone you love. Eric sat down on the bench beside her wheelchair, close enough that she could smell motor oil and soap. Your mother loves you. I can see it. She's terrified of losing you. Maybe that makes her controlling, but it comes from a place of fear, of love, of not knowing how else to protect you. I know. I just wish she'd let me breathe. Let me live. I'm 26 years old, and I have armed guards following me everywhere. I can't date, can't go out with friends, can't have any independence. I survived the accident and the attempts on my life only to be imprisoned by my mother's fear. Have you told her that? Really told her? Not in anger, but in honesty. 1,000 times. She doesn't listen. She just tightens security more, adds more restrictions. I understand why. Someone's trying to kill me, but I can't live my life hiding. I'd rather take risks and actually live than be safe and miserable. Eric was quiet for a moment. My ex-wife left because she said I was too controlling, said I didn't trust her to be a mother, didn't give her space to figure it out on her own. I thought I was helping, thought I was protecting her from making mistakes. Turned out I was suffocating her, making her feel inadequate. By the time I realized it, she was gone, left Lily and me both. I'm sorry. That must have been devastating. It was, still is sometimes. But I learned something. Sometimes the people who love us most hurt us because they're so scared of losing us that they forget we need freedom to live. Your mother's fear is understandable, but you're right. She can't keep you in a cage, even if the cage is lined with good intentions. Reagan looked at this mechanic who understood more about her situation than anyone else in her life. How did you get so wise about relationships? By failing at one spectacularly and spending years figuring out what I did wrong. Turns out making mistakes is the best teacher. I lost my wife because I tried to control everything. I won't make that mistake with Lily. I protect her. But I also let her take age-appropriate risks. Let her skin her knees and make mistakes and learn. It's hard. Every day I want to wrap her in bubble wrap, but that's not living. Your ex-wife's loss. She walked away from something good. She walked away from something hard. I don't blame her anymore. Being a parent is terrifying. Some people can't handle that terror. They run. I get it now. I don't like it, but I understand it. They sat in comfortable silence. Lily chased butterflies in the garden. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. For the first time in months, Reagan felt almost peaceful, safe, not because of guards or cameras, but because of this man who saw her as a person worth protecting. Not the wheelchair, not the heiress, just Reagan. That evening, Reagan taught Eric how to braid Lily's hair. His large, grease-stained hands were surprisingly gentle. Patient, he practiced until he got it right. Lily beamed with her perfectly braided hair. "Thank you," Eric said quietly. "She's been asking for braids for months. I've been watching YouTube videos, but I can't get it right." "Single parenting is hard," Reagan said. "Is that experience talking?" Observation. My mother raised me alone after my father died. She struggled to be both parents, to be everything I needed. I see her trying so hard and failing sometimes. It's not easy. Eric sat down on the bench beside her wheelchair. "Your mother loves you. I can see it. She's terrified of losing you. Maybe that makes her controlling, but it comes from love. I know. I just wish she'd let me breathe. Let me live. I'm 26 years old, and I have armed guards following me everywhere. I can't date, can't go out with friends, can't have any independence. I survived the accident only to be imprisoned by my mother's fear." "Have you told her that?" "1,000 times. She doesn't listen. She just tightens security more." Eric was quiet for a moment. "My ex-wife left because she said I was too controlling, said I didn't trust her to be a mother, didn't give her space to figure it out. I thought I was helping. Turned out I was suffocating. By the time I realized it, she was gone." "I'm sorry. I learned something, though. Sometimes the people who love us most hurt us because they're so scared of losing us that they forget we need freedom to live. Your mother's fear is understandable, but you're right. She can't keep you in a cage." Reagan looked at this mechanic, who understood more about her situation than anyone else in her life. "How did you get so wise about relationships?" "By failing at one spectacularly and spending years figuring out what I did wrong. Turns out making mistakes is the best teacher." They sat in comfortable silence. Lily chased butterflies in the garden. The sun was setting. For the first time in months, Reagan felt almost peaceful. Then Marcus appeared. His expression was grim. "Miss Ashford, we have a problem." Reagan's heart sank. "What kind of problem?" "The police found evidence from the parking garage incident, security footage from a camera across the street. It shows someone entering the garage wearing a maintenance uniform. They had access credentials, knew the camera blind spots, worked quickly and efficiently." "Did they identify them?" "The face was obscured, but the build and gait match someone we know, someone who has been on the estate, someone with access to your schedule." Reagan went cold. "Who?" Marcus looked uncomfortable. "Bernard, your mother's assistant." The world tilted. Bernard had been with Victoria for 8 years, had been at family dinners, had access to Reagan's calendar, knew her habits, was trusted completely. "You're saying Bernard tried to kill me?" "We're saying he's a person of interest. The police are bringing him in for questioning. Your mother is on her way home. She wanted me to tell you first." Eric stood up. "Get Reagan inside, now. If Bernard knows he's been identified, he might do something desperate." Marcus immediately called for additional security. Guards surrounded Reagan. Eric scooped up Lily. Everyone moved inside. The estate went into lockdown. Reagan sat in her room trying to process. Bernard. Kind, efficient Bernard, who remembered her coffee order and made sure her favorite books were on her nightstand. Bernard, who had been like family for 8 years. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. "Hello?" "Reagan." Bernard's voice. Calm, cold. "I imagine you know by now." "Why? Why would you do this?" "Because your mother destroyed my brother. He worked at Ashford Pharmaceuticals, developed a drug that would have revolutionized pain management. She stole his research, patented it under the company name. He got nothing. He killed himself 3 years ago." Reagan felt sick. "I didn't know. I'm sorry. But why come after me? Why not my mother?" "Because taking her company wouldn't be enough. I wanted her to feel what my brother felt. Hopelessness, despair, the loss of everything she loves. Watching you die slowly. First your career, now your life. That's true suffering. You drugged Duchess. You've been planning this for 4 years. I've been patient, methodical. Your mother ruined my brother's life. I wanted to ruin hers. Death is too quick. Grief is forever." "Where are you?" "Close enough. Tell your mother this isn't over. I will finish what I started." The line went dead. Reagan's hands shook. She called Marcus immediately, relayed the conversation. The estate went into full security protocol. Police arrived, searched for Bernard. He'd disappeared. His apartment was empty, his bank accounts cleaned out. He'd planned his escape meticulously. Victoria arrived home devastated. I didn't know about his brother. There was research that looked promising, but the scientist died before completion. We patented it to protect the investment. I didn't steal anything. Marcus showed her the evidence. Bernard's brother was Dr. James Wilson. He was lead researcher on the pain management drug. He signed an employment contract giving Ashford Pharmaceuticals rights to any research conducted using company resources. It was legal, but Bernard believed you stole his brother's work. So he's been methodically destroying my daughter for 4 years because of a misunderstanding. He's been destroying your daughter because he blames you for his brother's death. This isn't about the drug. It's about revenge. Reagan listened to them discuss Bernard's motives, felt angry, betrayed, frightened. For 4 years she'd been hunted by someone she trusted, someone who sat at their dinner table, someone who had access to every part of her life. Eric appeared in the doorway. I sent Lily to stay with my mother for a few days. Figured this situation is too dangerous for a kid to be around. Thank you, Reagan said quietly. The police are setting up a perimeter. But if Bernard's been planning this for 4 years, he has contingencies. He won't be easy to catch. Victoria looked at Eric. You're a mechanic. Why are you still here? This isn't your fight. With respect, Mrs. Ashford, someone tried to kill your daughter using mechanical sabotage. That makes it my fight. I noticed what your security team missed. I found the cut brake lines. I might notice things the police miss now. Victoria studied him. Why do you care? You barely know Reagan. Because I have a daughter. And if someone was hunting her, I'd want every person with useful skills helping to keep her safe. I have skills you need, so I'm staying. Marcus nodded. He has a point. Eric's been helpful. His mechanical expertise could catch things we'd miss. Victoria looked exhausted. Fine, stay, but if you get in the way of the investigation, you're out. Over the next 3 days, police searched for Bernard. Found nothing. He'd vanished like a ghost. Reagan was essentially under house arrest. Guards outside her door, cameras everywhere. No privacy, no freedom, just fear. Eric stayed at the estate, reviewed every mechanical system daily, checked for new sabotage, became Reagan's connection to normalcy in the chaos. They'd talk in the evenings, about everything and nothing. Eric would tell stories about Lily. Reagan would share memories of riding Duchess before the accident. They connected over shared experience of loss and single parents and learning to rebuild after life fell apart. Do you ever miss the person you were before? Reagan asked one night. Before Lily's mother left? Before everything changed? Eric was quiet. Sometimes, but I don't know if I miss who I was or just miss the simplicity. Life was easier when I didn't know how hard it could be, but I also wasn't as strong. Losing her taught me I could survive anything. Raising Lily alone taught me patience and resilience. I'm a better person now than I was then, just a more tired one. Reagan laughed. I understand that. I miss being able to walk, miss competing, miss the girl who thought she was invincible. But that girl was naive, entitled, didn't appreciate what she had. The accident destroyed me, but it also taught me what actually matters: independence, dignity, not taking anything for granted. You're stronger than you think. I'm sitting in a wheelchair being hunted by someone who wants me dead. I don't feel strong. Strength isn't about what you can do. It's about what you survive. You survived a career-ending accident, survived 4 years of someone trying to kill you, survived losing your independence to your mother's fear. You're still here, still fighting. That's strength. Reagan felt tears in her eyes. Thank you. I needed to hear that. Eric reached out, squeezed her hand. The gesture was simple, comforting. Reagan realized she'd developed feelings for this mechanic. This single dad with kind eyes, who saw her as a person instead of a victim. The moment was interrupted by Marcus running into the room. "We found him. Bernard's been spotted at a warehouse near the waterfront. Police are moving in." Reagan's heart raced. "Is he alone?" "Appears to be, but he's armed. They're treating this as a hostage situation, even though there's no hostage. He's cornered." Victoria appeared. "I want updates every 5 minutes. I want to know the second he's in custody." The waiting was excruciating. Reagan sat in her room watching news helicopters circle the warehouse on TV. Police had surrounded the building. SWAT team was moving in. Bernard was trapped. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. "Reagan." Bernard's voice was strained, desperate. "They're going to kill me. You tried to kill me first. Multiple times. I wanted justice for my brother. Your mother destroyed him. She needs to pay." "My mother didn't destroy anyone. Your brother signed a contract. She followed the law. His death is tragic, but it's not her fault." She could have given him credit, could have shared the profits, could have done something. Instead, she took everything and left him with nothing. "So you decided to take everything from her by killing me?" "An eye for an eye. She took my brother, I take her daughter. Except I'm not dead. I'm still here. And now you're cornered in a warehouse by police who will arrest you for attempted murder. Your revenge failed, Bernard. Your brother died for nothing. And now you'll spend the rest of your life in prison for nothing." Silence. Then, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry I let my grief turn me into this. I'm sorry I hurt you. You never did anything wrong. You're just the collateral damage of your mother's choices." "Bernard, surrender. Come out with your hands up. You don't have to die today. I can't spend my life in prison. I can't live knowing I failed. My brother deserved better. I failed him. Your brother wouldn't want this. He wouldn't want you destroying your life for revenge that won't bring him back." More silence. Reagan could hear police sirens through the phone, could hear Bernard breathing heavily. "Tell your mother I'm sorry, not for trying, but for failing. She deserves to suffer like I suffered, but I couldn't make it happen. I'm not strong enough." "Bernard!" The line went dead. On the TV screen, Reagan watched SWAT team breach the warehouse, heard gunfire, then silence. Marcus got word minutes later. Bernard was dead, suicide by cop, pointed an unloaded gun at officers and forced them to shoot. It was over. Reagan felt numb, relief, sadness, anger. Bernard had spent 4 years trying to kill her because he blamed her mother for his brother's death, had drugged Duchess, had cut her brake lines, had made her life a nightmare, and now he was dead, and none of it mattered. Victoria held Reagan while she cried, mother and daughter grieving together, not for Bernard, but for the 4 years of fear, for the loss of innocence, for the betrayal of someone they trusted. "I'm sorry," Victoria whispered. "I'm sorry my choices led to this. I'm sorry you suffered because someone wanted to hurt me through you. It's not your fault. Bernard was wrong. Grief made him cruel. But you didn't do anything wrong. I was so scared of losing you that I made you a prisoner. That was wrong. I thought I was protecting you, but I was suffocating you. Eric helped me see that." Reagan pulled back. "Eric talked to you. He told me you'd rather live freely and risk danger than live safely in a cage. He was right. I've been so focused on keeping you alive that I forgot you need to actually live." He said that? He said a lot of things. About independence and dignity and letting the people we love take risks, because that's what it means to truly love them. He's wise for a mechanic. Reagan smiled through tears. He really is. Over the following weeks, life slowly returned to normal. Security was reduced. Reagan was allowed freedom again. She started driving, started going out, started living instead of just surviving. Eric continued working at the estate, though his official reason for being there had ended. Victoria kept him on as a consultant for vehicle maintenance, but really, everyone knew he was there because Reagan wanted him there. They'd spend evenings talking. Lily would visit on weekends. Reagan taught Lily to braid hair and read books and paint, watched Eric parent with patience and love, and saw what a good father looked like. 6 months after Bernard's death, Reagan finally admitted what everyone else already knew. "I have feelings for you." Eric looked up from the car engine he was examining. "I know." "You know? You're not subtle. Also, my 5-year-old pointed it out. She said you look at me the way princesses look at princes in her storybooks." Reagan laughed. "And? And I have feelings for you too. Have for months. But I didn't want to take advantage. You've been through trauma. I didn't want to be the guy who swooped in during vulnerability and confused gratitude for love. It's not gratitude. It's genuine. You saw me as a person when everyone else saw me as a victim. You treated me with respect and honesty. You made me feel normal. I love that about you. I love you." Eric set down his tools, walked over to her wheelchair, kneeled down so they were eye level. "I love you too. I love your strength, your resilience, your kindness to Lily, the way you laugh, the way you never give up. I love all of you." They kissed, soft and tentative at first, then deeper, both of them smiling, both of them finally admitting what had been obvious for months. Victoria found them kissing in the garage, cleared her throat. They broke apart like guilty teenagers. "About time," Victoria said dryly. "You two have been dancing around each other for months. I was beginning to think I'd have to lock you in a room together." Reagan blushed. "Mom, I'm not blind. Also, Lily told me 3 weeks ago that her daddy was going to marry you. I assumed she knew something I didn't." Eric laughed. "Lily has opinions about everything. She's a smart kid, takes after her father." Victoria looked at Eric seriously. "You're good for my daughter. You see her, really see her. Not the wheelchair, not the heiress. Just Reagan. That's rare. Don't screw it up." "I won't." They dated for a year, slow and steady, building a life together. The first few months were careful, testing boundaries, learning each other. Eric would visit the estate to check vehicles and equipment, would stay for dinner, would let Lily play with Reagan while he worked. Slowly, those visits became less about safety checks and more about spending time together. Reagan learned about Eric's life, how he'd grown up poor in a small town, how he'd joined the Marines to escape and learn a trade, how he'd met his ex-wife Amy in a bar near the base, how they'd gotten married too young and had Lily too soon and struggled with the transition to parenthood, how Amy had spiraled into postpartum depression and Eric had tried to fix it by being more helpful, more involved, more controlling, how that had backfired spectacularly. "I thought I was helping," Eric said one evening. They were sitting by the pool while Lily splashed in the shallow end. Amy was struggling, couldn't get Lily to stop crying, couldn't figure out breastfeeding, couldn't sleep. So I took over, did the nighttime feedings with bottles, changed all the diapers, made all the decisions about schedules and routines. I thought I was being a good husband. "But you weren't giving her a chance to figure it out herself," Reagan said softly. "Exactly. I was sending the message that she was failing, that she couldn't handle being a mother. By the time I realized what I was doing, she'd already checked out emotionally, left 6 months later, said she couldn't stay with someone who made her feel inadequate every day. That must have hurt. It did, still does. But she was right. I did make her feel inadequate. Not intentionally, but impact matters more than intent. I learned that the hard way." Reagan told Eric about her life too, about growing up as the daughter of pharmaceutical executives, about the pressure to be perfect, about finding freedom with horses, about Duchess and the years of competition, about the accident and the investigation that went nowhere, about living under her mother's suffocating protection. "I love my mother," Reagan said, "but sometimes I feel like I'm suffocating, like I can't breathe." She means well, but well-meaning control is still control. "Have you thought about moving out? Getting your own place?" "Where would I go? I need accessible housing, security. Someone's still trying to kill me, remember? At least here I have protection." Protection or prison? The question hit hard. Maybe both. They fell in love slowly, carefully, neither of them rushing. Both of them carrying scars from past hurts. Both of them learning to trust again. Reagan got to know Lily better, became a parental figure, learned to love this bright, curious child who accepted Reagan's wheelchair without question. Lily would ask for Reagan specifically, want Reagan to read bedtime stories, want Reagan to help pick out clothes, want Reagan's opinion on everything from snacks to TV shows. The bond formed naturally, easily, like they'd always been meant to be family. Eric moved into the estate after 8 months. Victoria converted the pool house into an apartment for him and Lily. They became a blended family. Reagan, Eric, Lily, and Victoria. Unconventional but functional. Victoria and Eric had an interesting relationship. She respected his honesty, his work ethic, the way he loved Lily. But she was also protective of Reagan, worried that Eric might be using her daughter for money or status. "You know I'm not with her for the inheritance, right?" Eric said to Victoria one evening. They were in the kitchen. Reagan and Lily were watching a movie in the other room. "I know. If you were, you'd be doing a terrible job. You haven't asked for anything. You still work at your shop. You pay for Lily's expenses yourself. You're either genuinely in love with my daughter or you're playing a very long game." "I'm in love with her, completely. I don't care about the money or the company or any of it. I just want Reagan, and Lily wants a mother. Reagan's it." Victoria studied him. Reagan's been through hell, the accident, the attacks, 4 years of living in fear. "If you hurt her, I will destroy you. I have the resources to make your life very difficult. If I hurt her, I'll deserve whatever you do to me, but I'm not going to hurt her. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure she's safe and loved and happy." "Good. Then we understand each other." Lily started calling Reagan Mom about 10 months in. It happened naturally. They were at the breakfast table. Lily wanted more juice, said, "Mom, can you pass the juice?" Without thinking, Reagan froze, looked at Eric. He smiled encouragingly. "Of course, sweetheart," Reagan said, passing the juice with shaking hands. Later, when Lily was playing outside, Reagan cried, happy tears, grateful tears. "She called me Mom." "She's been calling you that in her head for months," Eric said, holding her. "She was just waiting for it to feel right to say out loud." "I never thought I'd be a mother. The accident stole so many dreams. Olympic competition, walking, independence. I thought motherhood was gone too. You're an amazing mother. Lily adores you, and you're teaching her so much about kindness, about resilience, about accepting people's differences. I'm just loving her. That's what makes you a good mother. You love her without conditions, without pressure. You let her be herself. That's what kids need." Reagan felt something settle in her chest. Peace. Purpose. She wasn't just Reagan the disabled heiress anymore. She was Reagan the mother. Reagan the partner. Reagan who had a family and a future despite everything she'd lost. Eric proposed on the anniversary of the day Reagan hired him. Took her back to his auto shop where they'd first met. Got down on one knee in the garage, surrounded by tools and grease and the smell of motor oil. "Reagan Ashford, you're the strongest person I've ever met. You survived someone trying to kill you, survived losing your career, Survived your mother's overprotective love. You survived everything life threw at you and came out stronger. I want to spend the rest of my life watching you be amazing. Will you marry me?" Reagan said yes through tears. They kissed in the garage where he'd first saved her life by noticing cut brake lines. The wedding was small, close friends and family. Lily was flower girl, wearing a dress she picked herself, purple with sparkles. Victoria walked Reagan down the aisle. Eric's mother cried happy tears watching her son marry a woman who loved his daughter. They wrote their own vows. Reagan went first. "Eric, you saved my life, not just by finding the sabotage, but by seeing me as a person worth saving. You never pitied me, never treated my wheelchair as tragedy. You just loved me, all of me. You gave me freedom and dignity and a family I never thought I'd have. I love you. I love Lily. I love the life we're building. I choose you. Every day. Forever." Eric's voice shook as he spoke. "Reagan, I thought I was just fixing cars the day you walked into my life. Turns out I was meeting my future. You challenged me, made me better, loved my daughter like she was yours. Showed me that strength isn't about what you can do physically. It's about what you survive emotionally. You're the strongest person I know, and I'm honored to spend my life loving you." They were pronounced married. Eric lifted Reagan from her wheelchair and kissed her while everyone cheered. Lily threw flower petals. Victoria cried happy tears. 5 years later, they sat in their backyard watching Lily, now 10, practice soccer with her team. Reagan coached from her wheelchair, shouting instructions and encouragement. Eric grilled burgers, his apron saying, "Dad Joke Champion." Victoria played with Reagan and Eric's 2-year-old twins, Emma and James, who'd been born via surrogate 3 years into the marriage. The twins had been a surprise. Reagan had assumed children were impossible, but Eric had researched options, presented possibilities, made it clear he wanted a family with her in whatever form that took. They'd chosen surrogacy, used Reagan's eggs, Eric's sperm. Victoria's friend had carried the pregnancy, and now they had twins who looked like both of them and brought chaos and joy to every day. "I never thought I'd have this," Reagan said quietly, watching Emma toddle after a butterfly while James tried to eat grass under Victoria's watchful eye. "A husband, kids, a family. After the accident, I thought that part of my life was over. Thought disability meant giving up on certain dreams." "You deserve all of it," Eric said, kissing her. He tasted like barbecue sauce and happiness. "I got lucky. You saw past the wheelchair when everyone else couldn't. I didn't see past it. I saw you. The wheelchair is part of you, part of your story, part of what makes you who you are. I loved all of it from the start. The strength, the resilience, the woman who survived assassination attempts and still found room in her heart to love my daughter. How could I not love you?" Reagan looked at her family. At Lily scoring a goal and celebrating with her team. At the twins laughing with their grandmother, covered in dirt and happy. At her husband who'd saved her life by noticing cut brake lines and then saved it again by seeing her as a person worth loving. Parker Technologies. Reagan had joined the board after marrying Eric, taking a more active role in the company. Had launched a new, accessible vehicle line based on Reagan's experiences. Every car designed with disability in mind from the ground up. Eric consulted on the designs. Reagan tested the prototypes. Together they'd created something that helped thousands of people with disabilities have the freedom Reagan had almost lost. Bernard had tried to destroy her, had spent 4 years hunting her, had wanted her dead as revenge against her mother for something she hadn't even done, had drugged Duchess, had cut brake lines, had made Reagan's life a nightmare of fear and surveillance, but he'd failed. Reagan had survived, had built a beautiful life from the ashes of tragedy, had found love and family and purpose, had turned her pain into something meaningful by helping others in similar situations. Victoria had changed too. After Bernard's death, she'd loosened her control, given Reagan space, apologized for years of suffocation masked as protection. They'd rebuilt their relationship into something healthier, mother and daughter, partners in the company, grandmother and parent to the same children, family in the truest sense. "Do you ever think about Bernard?" Eric asked quietly. "About what he tried to do?" "Sometimes. I think about how grief twisted him into someone capable of murder, how he let revenge consume him for 4 years, how he died without ever getting what he wanted. It's sad, tragic. He could have honored his brother's memory by living well. Instead, he destroyed himself, trying to destroy us." "Do you forgive him?" Reagan considered. "I don't know if I forgive him, but I don't hate him anymore. He was broken by loss, made terrible choices, hurt people who didn't deserve it. But in the end, he's dead, and we're alive and happy. That's justice enough." Lily ran over, sweaty and glowing. "Mom, did you see my goal?" "I saw it. That was amazing. You're getting so good." "Can we get ice cream to celebrate?" "Absolutely. Go ask your dad." Lily ran to Eric. "Dad, can we get ice cream? I scored 2 goals." "Ice cream for the champion. Everyone, we're going for ice cream." The twins cheered. Victoria laughed. Reagan smiled. They loaded into the accessible van, custom designed by Eric, built by Parker Technologies, and drove to the ice cream shop, all of them together, family. Later that night, after the twins were asleep and Lily was in bed reading, Reagan and Eric sat on their bedroom balcony looking at stars. "Thank you," Reagan said. "For what?" "For seeing me, for loving me, for giving me this life. I was so lost when we met, trapped by fear and my mother's control and someone trying to kill me. You gave me freedom, safety, family, everything I thought I'd lost forever. You gave me the same. I was stuck, running my shop, raising Lily alone, going through the motions. You made me believe in love again, made me want to be better, made me a better father, a better man. We saved each other." "Yeah, we did." They sat in comfortable silence, stars above, family inside, life full of possibility. Sometimes the person trying to kill you is the person you trust most. Sometimes the person who saves you is a stranger with grease-stained hands and a kind heart. Sometimes the greatest revenge is survival, and sometimes the best life is built from the broken pieces of tragedy. Reagan Ashford survived, thrived, built a family and a future, despite someone's best efforts to destroy her. The billionaire's disabled daughter found her miracle in a single dad mechanic who saw her worth when no one else did. Justice was served. Bernard was dead. Reagan was alive. Love conquered hate. And 5 years later, the scars had healed into stories they told their children about resilience and survival and the power of choosing love over fear. The best kind of happy ending there is, not perfect, but real, built on truth and trust, and 2 broken people who found healing in each other. Built on a mechanic who noticed what others missed, and a woman who refused to let disability or assassination attempts define her worth. They proved that wheelchairs don't limit love, that class differences don't matter when hearts connect, that single parents can build beautiful blended families, that survival is its own form of victory, that evil doesn't always win, and that sometimes the best love stories start in auto repair shops with cut brake lines and a man brave enough to tell the truth. Reagan and Eric proved all of it, every single day, together.